Trenton Garvey is the season 20 Young Guns winner of Hell's Kitchen. He won out over Kaya Wilhelm and then Megan Gill on Monday's finale. I'm Denton Davidson for Gold Derby. And Trenton, I'm just going to start. What was that moment like when your hand was on the doorknob and Gordon's counting down? What's going through your head at that point before it opens up to the confetti and the celebration?
So, I mean, at that point, I feel like I'd put everything on the table. So I was entirely at peace for whatever happened. I was like, I won to an awesome contestant, or I lost to an awesome contestant, or, I put it on the table and Chef Ramsay sees what I did and wants me to win this thing. So I knew it was all, I'd already put it all on the line. So I was ready for whatever happened.
And then you took it even further and proposed to your girlfriend, Macy. Is that something you had planned for a while? And would you have still done it even if you lost?
So I wanted to do it no matter what, because like we've been together for 9 years at that point, now 11 years. And we'd never spent like that much time away from each other. And I'd also had not had to spend that much time with other people my age, boys and girls. And I was like, you know what? We're pretty much perfect for each other. I don't get other kids that are or people that are our age. So I knew what I had to do. And for so long, I kept telling her I wanted to do like the perfect proposal. I wanted to make it big. I wanted it to be a big deal. And there I was the day before the finale. And I was like, you know what? I went to Chef Jason. And I go, if I make it to this finale, I want to propose. Like, I want to make that happen. And then I was like, no matter what, one way or the other, I'm going to make it happen. And he was like, well, we can make it happen. And that was incredible. She deserved it.
And I'm not sure you even realized it at the time, but a man hasn't won this show since Scott Commings won season 12. So you broke a 7-season streak that the women had going for them. And then you also then became the youngest winner at 23, along with Danny Veltri, who won at the same age way back in season 5. So were you aware of that history being made as you were doing it?
Not at the moment, at that moment at all. I just, I said I was very much in the moment. I put everything on the table. After we did the dinner service, I literally went back to the dorms for a second, and I was done. Put my arm on the table. I passed out. I was done. I was, So I didn't even know I was the youngest till you just said that. So that's incredible.
And it had to be stressful leading up to the final dinner service. And I was a little shocked when you chose Kaya as your first teammate because she had just been bashing you the whole season. Were you aware even that she disliked you that much? Or did you just get the full extent of that when you saw the interviews as the show aired?
Yeah, so when the show aired, I got to realize how much disdain she had for me. I had no idea. Like when we were in Austin about a month ago, she was like, man, you're like one of my favorite people to hang out with here. And I used to hate you. And I was like, oh, really? Like what? We're sitting there laying in a pool, karaokeing at 5 o'clock in the morning. And she's like, oh yeah, no, this is great. I'm like, yeah, I had no idea that you didn't like me. I was just astonished I was still there. So I guess I came off as cocky, but I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe like this is actually happening. I can't believe it. And then they were like, oh, you're cocky. I'm like, I didn't mean to be like that.
Was that your strategy going into that, was to, sort of pick the players that had made it the furthest at that point?
Yeah, and for me, I saw strengths in each of the people. Like with Sam and just how much he could put on a plate in such little time. Antonio, with how focused he was. He was an executive chef. He knew how to direct. He knew what consistency was. Bren was so hyper focused. She really knew how to put out great food, and her take on food is just incredible. Like what way she puts her spin on things. Very unique. And then Kaya is just a powerhouse in the kitchen. So I just felt like I had a really solid team, and that it was very strategic, as in like I think these guys are just really solid cooks, like especially line cooks. These guys can kill it on the line.
And I just want to go back to the first day. You get to the set, you're 23 years old. That's incredibly young for this competition. So, what were your initial expectations, and did those shift when you found out that everyone was so young this season? Suddenly, maybe you're not as inexperienced among the chefs as you thought you might have been.
Yeah, I felt like once I realized that it was all 23-year-olds, it definitely leveled the playing field. But I went into this with zero confidence, and I told myself, it's all about the experience. If I go home the first day, don't go home the first day. That's like I'm telling you, just don't go home the first day. Don't go home the first week. But I came to peace. Like I said, I was like, if I go home the first week, I'm okay with it. It's the experience. I get to work with Gordon Ramsay, and I've always just wanted to have that like growth, that experience of going and pushing myself and working like for a Michelin star chef, because I got into being an executive chef at 23. And at that point, you kind of like, I was 9 months in at that point in time. And I was like, oh man, I might be a little bit trapped now, because I'm like this. I'm at the top of the ladder here. Like I want to go somewhere and learn now, because now I'm teaching people what I know. But I'm like, I want to know more before I start teaching all these people. So I really wanted that experience to go out and learn. And I just took every day as a gift, and whatever I got out of it, I just took in stride. I was, like I said, I was at peace with whatever happened, put myself out there. So I couldn't believe I made it all the way to the end. That blew my mind.
The blue team took a little while to get it together. When it was just the men, you lost 3 challenges in a row pretty early on. What was that transition like for you when the teams got switched up? And do you think that worked to your benefit?
I definitely think that like early on, losing the challenges. So at first, I was super positive about it. Like the first few, I was like, okay, well, we have lost, we're losing, but now I feel like the blue team, especially me, I'm more comfortable in this kitchen because it's a whole new restaurant, whole new kitchen. So you're trying to know where everything is, especially for challenges. Like where are the microplanes? Where's the graters? Where's the cast irons? So exposure to the kitchen by doing the punishments and not being out of the kitchen. I in the beginning I felt strategically it was kind of a positive, because now I had something to get me more in tune with the kitchen. But as they progressed, like the one that got me was the girls getting to go out in like the Baja buggies, because like I'm a huge fan of like rally and like motorsports. So I was like, oh man, I'm like so jealous. So that one got me. But once we switched up the teams, I felt like it definitely changed the dynamic, and bringing in people from Christina's side of the kitchen also changed it up a little bit, because it was a little bit different working between both kitchens, like a little bit different procedures. What like the expectations are a little bit different. So, what was Chef Jason's like pet peeves was not Christina's pet peeves. So it was playing learning to work and like rebuild a team, and it was fun because it just started going. We started pumping out food, and that was magical.
Was there a moment or episode in particular that Gordon insulted you so badly that you thought you had blown it? I love that. I love, by the way, that episode where he turns the tables on you and makes you guys insult him to his face. That would be my other question is how hard was that to shoot?
Oh man, so that was, I mean, I understood it, because it was like he wanted to see, like, stare you in the eyes and see how much you wanted that. And looking back at it now, like I finally watching the show. Everybody else got a high five, I got a handshake, and I was like, maybe he saw how much I wanted it. And yeah, no, that was rough. Like I rewatched it with a bunch of guests at the restaurant in Maplewood, and it was, yeah, I was like, oh man, I see why I don't do acting, because you know.
And people might not know this, but you mentioned it earlier. Your season was filmed quite a while ago. It was before the pandemic. So what's that been like waiting all this time not being able to tell anyone? Were you just anxious for it to finally, get a premiere date and get rolling for you?
Well, I've seen like both sides of the coin on this because it gave me more time to grow as a chef, more time to read, more time to try to figure out like where my voice as a chef. But it also we didn't put it out before the pandemic, so that didn't affect any of like the restaurants and everything. Like I could have been in a position and then been in a bad position because COVID shut everything down. But it definitely was very aggravating, just having to wait. Just like you're like, oh man, I got to do it. I just like I wanted to tell people. I wanted to be able to be like, I'm telling you this because I got honed by one of the greatest chefs in the world and told how to do this. I wanted people to know, like, hey, this is like I want to help you grow because I know this now. And that was tough. That was definitely tough. But like I said, it gave me time to grow, and now I'm here in Vegas and getting to hang out with everybody. And tomorrow I get to go talk to the staff at Paris, Gordon Ramsay Steak. So that's super incredible. Waited 2 years. Like the guy when he called me was, oh hey, this is Frank from Caesars. I was like, I've waited over 2 years for this call, sir. you know, long overdue.
And what was your life like before you got on Hell's Kitchen, and how did you end up being cast on the show?
So very interesting because my brother called me and he was like, hey, I because we were on our way to like a concert up in St. Louis. And he called me. He's like, "Oh, some lady called today. She left a message on the voicemail because it was the day the restaurant was closed. But asked if anybody wanted to do Hell's Kitchen. Said she had casting for it. I didn't. I was like, this is probably not real, but whatever." And I'm like, I don't know if it's really something I want to do because I could go there and totally look like an idiot. I don't really think I'm good enough for that, but we'll see. And like I said, I went into it with very little confidence. But he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna apply. I think you should apply too. I think this would be good for you." I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it." So I applied, and then just interview after interview, and I was like, "Okay, they're showing interest in me." And then got a call one day, and they said, "Hey, you got like 12 hours to get yourself ready because you're coming to LA to meet the producers." And I was like, "Okay, cool." I'd never flown before, so that was a tough learning curve trying to figure that out. Never really left the two states I lived in, with Missouri and Arkansas. So that was a fun, adventurous day trying to figure out how to go through a terminal, how to navigate an airport, how it worked, how TSA works. Like I was just, my mind was blown. Now I feel like a pro. Like I was showing people, all my friends, then we came out to Vegas. I'm like, just like this. I'm like, oh man, this is still so new to me, but I feel like a pro now. Oh, that's nuts.
And just a final question, what's next for you now that the cat's out of the bag? You can really get started on this next phase of your life. You mentioned you're in Las Vegas, so are you gonna get to work at the Gordon Ramsay Steakhouse, or what's next for you?
Yeah, within the next month and a half, I'm wanting to start at Gordon Ramsay Steak. I want to just like dive right into it, learn as much as I can, and just try to be as good as I can be. I mean, that's why I did it. I wanted an opportunity to get to be put in a position to learn. And not only is it like moving up in the world financially, which is something like I didn't come from a whole lot. So getting to have some type of stability in my life is incredible. So not only is there that, but there's also room for me to grow as a chef. So I'm definitely going to dive into the job at Gordon Ramsay Steak and try to take it as far as I can and try to prove myself again.
Well, Trenton Garvey, congratulations on this historic win and becoming Gordon Ramsay's next protege. We'll look forward to
Thank
seeing
you.
your career unfold. And thanks again for chatting with Gold Derby today about your experience on Hell's Kitchen.
Well, thanks for having me on here, man. This is incredible.